Hello everyone. Today in this video we are going to start with a new chapter in macroeconomics that is called as aggregate demand, aggregate supply and its related concepts. Well, before we start the detailing part of the chapter, let's try to understand one thing, that in this chapter there are some short forms which are to be used, in which aggregate demand will be used as a word short form AD, while aggregate supply will be used as AS. So henceforth, when you hear these two words, please understand AD refers to aggregate demand while AS refers to aggregate supply. Now, aggregate demand. Let's first try to understand what aggregate demand is. Now, it is the total of expenditure that the people plan to incur on purchase of goods and services. Let me repeat again. AD is not the demand, but it is the expenditure which the people are planning to make on buying goods and services. Now, let's suppose you are going to buy some product, two products, one is valued at 5 rupees, another is of 3 rupees. So your aggregate demand in this case would be 5 rupees plus 3 rupees, that is 8 rupees. It will not be two quantities which you have bought. It will be 8 rupees which you are planning to spend. Now, so aggregate demand is the sum of the expenditure which the people plan to make on buying of goods and services, and this expenditure depends on income. Now, let's try to understand the AD schedule. But before we come to AD schedule, please try to understand one thing, that AD is the expenditure which the people is the total of expenditure which the people are planning to make. So AD is also called as AE. Aggregate demand is also called as aggregate expenditure. Now, let's try to understand AD schedule and what relation it has with the income. Now, what is AD schedule? AD schedule is the table. You can see over here one table is being shown to you. This is the table which is showing AD at different levels of income. AD schedule is a table showing AD corresponding to different levels of income. Now, when we are using the word income, henceforth we will use a short word called as Y. Single letter Y. Alphabet, not letter, alphabet Y. So, AD schedule is a table which shows the AD at different levels of Y. Now you can see that the value of Y increases from 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, while at the same time AD, or that is equal to AE, also increases simultaneously, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 and so on and so on. Now you can see over here that the relation between Y and AD is a positive relation, which means whenever Y will increase, AD will also increase. But the point which you have to consider over here is income can be 0 but AD can never be 0. Please remember, income can be 0 but AD can never be 0. Well, AD can never be 0 only because even at 0 income there will be some consumption which will be made by the people. Even when income is 0, people do make an expenditure on consumption. So when they make an expenditure, there will be some value of AD, and so AD can never be 0. But you see over here that the value of AD, which it has 0 income, that is 30, is the lowest. So at 0 income, whatever the value of AD will be, it will be the lowest. Now you see, another thing that is to be seen over here is when Y is increasing, it is increasing at a constant rate of 20. While at the same time, when AD is increasing, it is also increasing at the constant rate of 5 units. Now, let's try to understand the graphic presentation of this schedule. When we come to this one, you can see over here there is a line parallel drawn to x-axis which is called as I means investment line, and it is kept constant. Why it is kept constant, we will be talking this in the next video. But please understand, this income axis, you see it starts from 0 and then it goes upward, which means that income starts from 0 and moving upward means it is a straight line. Moving upward means it is increasing, and you can see it is a straight line. The income line, the y line, is a straight line, and it is only because the rate of increase in y is constant. Similarly, you can see over here, this line is called as AD line. Now this starts from the point 30 because it is the lowest value of income, and then again it is also rising upward, which means that as income increases, AD also increases. But there is a point over here at point E where the income line and the AD line is touching each other. From the diagram, it is very clearly visible that income is equal to AD at point 40. So this point E where Y and AD line is touching each other is called break-even point. The point where Y is equal to AD is called as break-even point. Now see, after this point, this portion is called the right hand side of the graph, and this portion is the left hand side of the graph. You can clearly see that before this point, income is below while AD is above Y. While after this graph, income is above and AD is below the Y line. So this means that when income is higher, when income is higher, people tend to make less expenditure on buying goods because they tend to save more. And when income is lesser, then expenditure is less, which means expenditure is more, which means that at lower income saving is less, at higher income saving is more. So this talks about AD schedule and the graphic presentation of AD schedule. Thank you everyone.